So thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Rania and Dr. Laila. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to share screen. And let me know if you can all see my shared screen.
It's loading. It'll be up in a second. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Rania Jabr, and I am happy to say that I'm working with my colleague today, presenting with my colleague Laila ElSerty. We both work at the American University in Cairo. Laila teaches the undergrads in the Rhetoric and Composition department. I teach the graduates in the academic graduate program. And we both came to the idea that Gen Z is different. So, and we decided to work from what we see on a daily basis at AUC and dealing with Gen Z. And we came up with this presentation. We hope that it's useful for everybody today. We're going to talk about educating and empowering Gen Z, innovative strategies for effective language learning. Over to you, Laila.
Thank you very much. We would love to share today's presentation outline. After the introduction, we're going to discuss Gen Z, their definition and characteristics. Then we're going to move into the challenges in language learning. We'll have a focus on academic integrity and AI use, and we're going to give you suggested solution, tailor-made methodologies with a focus on differentiation. Then we're going to end our presentation discussing high-impact assessment, including formative and summative assessment. But before we start the first point of our outline, I want to share with you a fact that might not be surprising to many of you. Did you know that, Rania, will you please click? According to a recent article in a New York magazine, nearly every student is using AI to cheat their way through college. It's happening in high school and in lower grades too. We cannot teach Gen Z without acknowledging this fact, to be honest, because Gen Z is usually associated with the use of AI. In today's presentation, Rania and I will walk you through the necessary steps to create an educational environment that is conducive to learning for Gen Z. In this environment, our goal is not to convince Gen Z that AI is better than them or that they are better than AI. To be honest, our goal is to tell them that with the responsible and sensible use of AI, they can become better learners. But before we go into the details, we'd like to define Gen Z first. Gen Z, they're identified as individuals who are born between 1997 to 2012. However, there are many variations for this definition. Some people would say that the starting date is 1995 and it is extended to 2010 as well. So we can say there are approximately people between 25 to maybe 11, 13 of age. No, not 11, maybe 13, 25 to 13 years of age. And we can confidently say that all of our undergrad students and many of our graduate students actually belong to this age group. They're often referred to as Zoomers because they spend like a big deal of their education on Zoom, and they're called the I generation and the digital natives. Now I'll leave the floor to Rania to discuss the characteristics of Gen Z.
Okay, so we're going to start, our presentation is divided into several parts. Our first part is we want to define the construct. What are the characteristics of Gen Z? So to do this, I'm going to share with you a QR code. If you would like to please scan it, it will lead you to a Slido question, or my colleague Laila is going to add in the chat the link. You can either scan the QR code or click on the link. Once the answers are available, Laila will share her screen and show you the results on the Slido deck. So what are the characteristics of Gen Z?
Rania, will you allow me to share the screen?
Okay, yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, they're social media users, they're Zoom, yes. Attention span issues, we all agree. Justice-oriented, definitely. Tech-savvy, young, impatient, with smartphones, and they're luckier, yeah, they're lucky. They care about the environment, yes, we agree. They're used to instant access to just about everything. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. And they're rushed, creative, excellent, and impatient. But I guess we all agreed, like, they're all tech savvy and high stress level. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
they're
Laila.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so let's continue with our presentation. I need to just say something at the beginning, a disclaimer. My son is a Gen Z, belongs to Gen Z. So it's not that I have anything against Gen Z, but I can tell you from experience, both at home and at AUC, what they're like. Let's see what are the characteristics that Laila and I came up with. As you said, they're digital natives, they're tech savvy, they're pragmatic, they're visual learners, multimedia consumers, they prioritize work-life balance, they seek gratification, affirmation, validation, and of course they are laid back, but in fact, unfortunately, to the extent of a little bit of procrastination. And of course, they seek opportunities for self-expression. I would like you to keep these characteristics in mind because we're going to refer to them later on in our presentation. Okay, so let's see now. In the second part of our presentation, we're going to ask you another question. What are the challenges Gen Z faces in language learning? And as agreed, here is another QR code, and Laila will put the link in the chat and would like to hear from you. What do you think are the challenges in language learning?
Still got the same question from before.
Okay. Just a second.
The other Slido?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the QR code is working, I think.
Yeah, but if it's the same QR code, you just need to move on to the second question on your side.
Okay. It is open now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Is the link in the chat for
Yes.
everybody? Okay, maybe I'll stop sharing screen and then maybe you can share the screen, Laila?
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
not responding yet. Let me see.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop that. All right. Is it working now?
Okay, 1 second, you're sharing screen. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Challenges Gen Z faces? Thank you.
Yes. Competition, concentration problems, overusing AI for translation, grammar, and writing. We agree. Social media, like spending too much time on social media could be a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
AI. Yeah, we're going to discuss
Um,
this. Yes.
Yes. Using social media, distractions.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
I'll
stop.
share screen, ya Laila.
Okay.
Lovely. Let's continue. Let's see now, what challenges did Laila and I come up with while we're preparing for this presentation? Okay, here we are. We came up with cheating using AI, short attention span, over-reliance on feedback, this idea of requiring constant validation. Sometimes there is a lack of motivation, lack of engagement. They seem a little detached, little bit not very resilient. As you saw earlier, we talked about the idea of trying to balance between life and work. The previous generations focused more on their work. They're very ambitious, and sometimes their expectations are very unrealistic, including my own son, who wanted to be manager the day he graduated from AUC. We started from the bottom of the ladder, and the last thing, of course, over-dependence on technology and digital distraction. Okay.
Okay.
Over to you, Laila.
All right. The first point, as you said, some of you mentioned AI use as a challenge. That's why we're going to focus a lot on that in our presentation. In the past, not a long time ago, to be honest, academic integrity concern revolved around the fear of plagiarism and copying other people's work. However, now, like when it comes to Gen Z, the problem is far more complicated because of the age of or the era of AI. We cannot shy away from this problem, to be honest. AI use is inevitable. No wise teacher or wise person would think that forbidding Gen Z from using AI could be the solution. However, we believe that we can encourage use of AI, but in a responsible and sensible manner. My question, before I start discussing that, I want you in the chat, please, to answer this question. What do you think is responsible AI uses? In the chat. Hi, Nora.
Hello. Sorry for joining a little bit late.
It's okay, dear.
Thank you. I'm about to answer the question.
Yes, in the chat.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Hadia, you mean like using AI to brainstorm for like writing or presentation, right?
Yes, to get ideas, basically.
Excellent.
Yeah, just to
Nice.
brainstorm at the very beginning, the initial stage.
Excellent. And Yasmin, you're saying it's about citation, to cite properly and give credit to the tool,
Yes.
or acknowledging. Excellent.
Nice.
And Maha, responsible is to help student understand the reading. All right.
Yeah.
If it's too complex or jargony, but then we're going to go back and read it. Okay. Thank you, Maha. David, to augment human thinking, not to outsource human thinking. Excellent, David. Thank you very much. Yeah, so just a friendly reminder. Okay, thank you. It's recorded. All right.
Okay. Shall I move to the next section?
Yes.
Laila, are we ready?
I want to make sure that I got all the answers transition, but only if you know both language and enough to revise.
That's
exactly. Thank you, Maha. Acknowledging. Yes, Nora. Excellent. And Charlie believes in education. There isn't any. Okay. Maybe I hope we can change your point of view about that now. All right. Whenever we think of teaching students the responsible use of AI, we have like two paths to follow. We can just do as Charlie said, no AI use, or create what we may call AI resistant tasks, or we can create AI collaborate tasks. We agreed earlier, like a few seconds ago, that this generation is quite connected to the use of AI. So we cannot solely depend on isolation or AI resistant tasks. We need to use both of them in a way that would help him actually thrive in the classroom. And I'm going to leave the floor to Rania to elaborate more on that.
Okay, so we are agreeing on the premise that for responsible AI use to succeed, we need to do both collaboration with AI and some other AI resistant tasks as a balance. So let's see what we're going to do now. We're going to ask you first, as always, suggest a task or two for how to use AI responsibly in your class. We're going to share with you a Padlet, okay? And in Padlet, you're going to divide up the tasks. It's divided up actually for you. You're going to just give us an example of a collaborative task that you would do with AI and an AI resistant task that you would use with your students, okay? So here is the QR code, and Laila is adding the link in the chat. We're going to all in a minute share the screen for Padlet so we can see what you come up with. And of course, after you do that, we will tell you and share with you what we came up with in the form of collaborative tasks and resistant tasks.
Yeah, on the Padlet wall, there is a plus sign where you can just click and add a comment, or you can just right-click on any place on the wall to write your comments.
Okay.
Rania,
Is the link in the chat, Laila? I can stop sharing and show them Padlet?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
here we go. Let's, Laila will share the Padlet screen for us. Thank you.
So this is the plus button that I was talking about. And you can drag and drop your comment under AI collaborative or AI resistant.
Yeah.
Won't let me put it, it just puts it in the middle. Won't let me move it.
Okay.
Do we need to resend the link in the chat? Or is everybody able to get to the link? You can do that again.
No, there's stuff on it. It's just not showing on your screen, but I can see it on my side.
Okay, Laila,
There
it's
are
not
two
showing.
boxes.
But maybe I need to refresh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, when we need, yeah, with Padlet, we need to constantly refresh.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes.
So we are doing the AI collaborative for feedback. All right. And
Could you refresh, Laila, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes.
So reflection on experiences for feedback, personal learning, reflecting via journaling. However, many of these are in the middle, so I don't know if they're going to be like in between AI collaborative to AI
Yes.
resistant.
Yeah, like
Right.
I collaborate, yes.
Searching for information, excellent. Yeah, this is a very good point for AI collaborative in research. Yeah, searching for information, searching for sources.
Feedback, nice.
Excellent. For writing essays, okay. Yeah, we'll discuss that, yeah, this screen.
And making connections, we're going to discuss that. Yes, excellent.
It seems that whenever we put something, it goes to the other direction.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all right. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your interaction. It's lovely. Thank you.
Welcome.
Outline for research paper, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And reflecting the newfound knowledge. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Collaborate.
Yes.
Making connection with experiences, previous knowledge. Excellent. Hadia, thank you very much. Prompt engineering. Thank you, Jim. Work together to develop and document progress. Excellent. Give the best answers that you can develop to answer a question.
Yeah, each of these answers can be a whole session, a whole presentation
Yeah.
built on each of these. Excellent. I think we're good for now, Laila.
Gonna stop sharing. The Padlet link is already there for you to
Yes.
go through it whenever you want. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Okay, perfect. So let's see what Laila and I came up with while preparing for this presentation. Okay, so here are the AI collaborative tasks. We thought of interviews, having interviews with a chatbot or with an AI tool, cultural analysis on current issues, especially hot topic issues, whether political things or economic things, what's happening in the world around us. Also problem solving, and I think somebody also mentioned problem solving using data facts. AI can give the data and the facts, and the students can engage in the problem solving part. And of course, gamification, turning whatever they've learned into a game, and we're going to get back to this in a few minutes. Moving along, the AI resistant tasks, because we can't do everything using AI. Remember, AI is not the learning outcome. The learning outcome is learning English. AI is a tool. So AI resistant tasks would be reflective writing. It has to be on reflective writing, creating storytelling, digital storytelling. They like digital things, so why not give them the chance to be creative, tell stories, tell their experiences digitally, reflect digitally. Of course, language learning, e-journals, and peer teaching. And I'm going to get back to peer teaching after a few minutes. So these are some of the suggested tasks, whether collaboration or resistant, but keeping these two main aspects is quite important. I want them to collaborate today, or today we're going to just work without using AI. Over to you, Laila.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rania. When it comes to leveraging the responsible use of AI, you have to keep in mind that we cannot just leave the students to the use of AI without any guidance. We have like a three-step model that we want to share with you. The first step in our model that you have to teach him, it's AI literacy. You have to teach him AI literacy assignments to teach him about AI, how to use it, how that includes how to prompt, as some people said, Padlet, how to secure their data, how to maintain their privacy or protect their privacy. So you have to give them AI literacy assignments first. Then, as some of you mentioned in the chat earlier, we have to teach him to be transparent about AI use and teach him how to cite and how to acknowledge using AI. And the last step in this model is to ask awkward interviews or have awkward interviews with the students. Always keep a communication channel with your student. Ask them during interviews, during conferences, if you're doing like weekly or weekly conferences with your students, how they used AI. Why did they use it? Okay, what tools did they used, and their feedback on that in oral interviews or in conferences. So this is the model that we wanted to share with you. However, there is one more thing that I would love to add here. Can we move to the next slide, Rania, please? We are role models. We as teachers, we cannot share this model with our students before we model it ourselves. Nowadays, AI is made teaching or has facilitated teaching in a way or another. Many of us can use it to maybe create tasks, worksheets, quizzes, assignments, sometimes readings or adapting materials. So what we need to do is to be the role model, and we should show our students that we acknowledge use of AI when we do so, whether in lesson planning and creating practice worksheets and so on. Because we don't want them to say that we're using AI without acknowledging them, then we're asking them to do quite the opposite. In other words, we would love to practice what we're preaching. Now I will leave the floor to Rania to discuss the fourth point in our presentation today.
Okay, so moving along, now that we've decided on the idea of that they need to use AI, but they need to use AI responsibly, we will need to talk about suggested solutions. Academic integrity is an issue, not only at AUC, but in many places in the world. in high schools even, and AI use is causing problems. So what are the suggested solutions? First of all, we want to suggest methodologies. These methodologies will go a long way in enhancing student learning and not leading them to the conclusion of, okay, I'll cheat my way through this. I'll use AI to write my essay when I'm not supposed to. So let's see what these methodologies are. First of all, experiential learning, learning by doing, learning that is personalized, always asking the students, what do you think? How do you feel about this? Now, AI is not going to tell them how they feel about something. What is your reaction? Another thing is communicating with them authentically and giving them feedback. This is what Laila was talking about when we have difficult conversations with the students during our individual conferences. And we, writing teachers at AUC, have individual conferences, part and parcel of our teaching. They are built in the syllabus. So basically meeting individually with the students is quite important. And so this is the time where we can give them authentic feedback, quiz them on whether they used AI, how did they use AI, is it responsible or not, and basically guiding them. Giving them collaborative tasks where they work in pairs or in teams. And of course, I come back again to the same idea of gamification. Engaging them, motivating them through games will not have them rely blindly, cancel their mind, and just basically copy paste what AI output gives them. And the last thing, this is very important, and I always keep referring to this in all my presentations, is the idea of connecting them as individual to their community and to the world around them, linking what they read in class or outside class to their immediate community and the society and the world, being global citizens, which is something they're very what's the word? They are very interested in. Gen Z likes that. They are aware of the world around them. They're aware of sustainability issues. They're aware of certain issues that's going around. So basically, give them opportunities to do that, to share their views on such areas. Over to Laila, who's going to suggest another solution.
Yeah, one main solution that would love to add like separately is differentiation or differentiated instructions. As Rania mentioned before, Gen Z they favor personalized experiences in all aspects of life, education included. Differentiated instruction would be like a very good methodology or approach to be followed in class. But before I discuss more about differentiated instruction, I would love to see like your insight on answering the question what the definition of differentiated instruction is in the chat, if you don't mind. Just give us like your insight.
Yeah, like a short definition, a word or two.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll answer all the questions, Maha, at the end. We'll answer your question about e-journaling and everything.
Okay. Are people answering in the chat?
I got one answer, meeting students where they are in the learning process.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Okay.
each
Different, depending.
something different depending on their level. All right. Excellent.
Okay, what they need.
Excellent.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. A teaching approach to meet learners' diverse needs and interests. Thank you very much. All right. So it's pretty much similar to what you just said. You summed it all. It's a method where we as educator try to tailor our methods, I mean, teaching methods, our content, our assessment even, to meet individual student needs, interests, as you said, learning profiles, maybe readiness level within the same classroom. I know it's a bit challenging to do that in large classroom, like to apply differentiated instructions in a larger one. However, when it comes to the practical application, we're lucky enough, Rania, can we go to the next slide? We're lucky enough that AI can help with the practical application of differentiated learning in the classroom. These are some examples in the infographic we have here. We can build tasks around students' interest with the use of AI. We can adapt text to different reading levels, depending on the levels of our students. We can produce audio versions of text and vice versa. We can present content in multiple forms. We can use infographics. We can use analogies, case studies, real-life experiences. We can design varied types of assessment as we want with different levels as well. Now I will hand it over to Rania to discuss how AI can support Gen Z.
Okay, so as Laila was saying, we can differentiate instructions, meaning we can even tell the AI tool, I have 20 students, there are 3 different levels, I need this reading on, let's say, I don't know, sustainability in the age of AI, based on the 3 levels, higher intermediate, and beginner or elementary, and create questions for these 3 levels. So basically, it's a very simple format of differentiated instruction. So what we're trying to say here, and I'm trying to recap so that we're all on the same page, that Gen Z has certain needs, and we need, as educators, to support our Gen Z students. And thanks to AI can help us do that. It can play multiple roles. And if you noticed, this week, actually, ChatGPT has launched the study guide for, let's say, tool or format in ChatGPT. So basically, the student can click on a tab which says study guide, and ChatGPT will act as and this is what I'm trying to say, a conversation buddy. A study buddy to explain terms, to explain concepts, to explain grammar points, to explain how to do this or that. It can be a skill developer. It can be also a guide on the side. It can be a personal tutor. And of course, all this will lead to motivation. It can motivate these learners. They love technology. So we can manipulate technology in a way to guide them and help them and provide them with the support, so that the student doesn't say, oh, my professor just gave me a 2-hour video to watch instructing me on how to write an essay. Maybe AI can do that as a personal tutor or a study buddy. All right, over to you, Laila.
Thank you, Rania. The last point of our presentation today is high impact assessment, and we're going to focus on both formative and summative assessment. And as you may all know, formative assessment is the ongoing process of evaluating and monitoring students' progress all through the semester, while summative is when you sort of evaluate students' learning progress at the end of a semester or a course. We will start with the formative assessment, and to revamp formative assessment to best suit the needs, not only the needs and the digital practices of Gen Z, we can ask ourselves 2 important questions. The first one is, how might a task change using AI? Rania, will you please give me the drop-down list? For example, instead of giving students a vocabulary quiz, you can turn the task or the formative assessment assignment into a concept map or a mind map. Like students have to make links between concepts or words or phrases. And instead of giving the students a regular reading comprehension test, you can ask them to interview AI to analyze a text or annotate a text. Instead of solely depending on teacher/peer feedback, which I'm sure that we all do that, teacher and peer feedback, we can add AI feedback to the process. And I guess some of the presentations here in MYFest discussed different AI feedback models, like the pair model, a couple of weeks ago. The second question is, how are we going to redesign our task to prioritize reasoning and creativity? Because creativity, some of you already said earlier that this is one of the characteristics of Gen Z. Not only Gen Z, it's what makes us as human different from the machine or the AI. So we want to tap on the creativity part of our students. What we can do is we can ask them to maybe compare their own writing with that generated by AI. We can ask them to debate among themselves or debate with the tool. Like I know some colleagues of mine actually debate, like one group of students debating versus AI doing the debate on the other side. We can ask them to create podcasts. We can ask them to design games, and they can do the last two, activities with or without the help of AI. From the examples we just mentioned, all right, we can note that we are trying to turn formative assessment into a dialogue. And this is what we believe that Gen Z need. They need to reflect. They need to compare an output. They need to annotate and analyze. They need to interview, if not their peers, their teacher, the chatbot. In this case, we as teachers, we're trying to make their voices heard. We are giving them the chance to amplify their voice. We're giving them the chance to share a proof of their understanding. And we can design formative assessment, as Rania said early, and you said this group of students are very much interested in social justice. They can discuss issues that are local or issues that are global. So we personalize, we localize, and we globalize. Now over to Rania to discuss summative assessment.
Okay, so as we said, in the age of AI, assessment has always been and will always be both formative and summative. And we need to rethink our assessment. And this is what we're actually doing at AUC in all our departments. We're trying to rethink the way we assess students, whether formatively or summatively. Summatively, it's at the end of the semester. As Laila said, formatively is throughout the semester. But both need to be rethought and re-examined. Okay, so what do we do in summative assessment? Instead of having a dialogue throughout the semester when we're doing our assessment, now we want to turn our end of the semester, end of the term assessment into an experience that the students go through. It's not just a pen and paper exam. We can ask them to create a digital portfolio of what they have done throughout the semester. If you recall, we used to do this in paper form or like a poster. But now it can be digital. It can be a website. It can be a blog. It can be a social, they can create a social media campaign, since we said that our Gen Z prefer social media and they love, social media. They can make a social media campaign about an issue they're interested in or passionate about. And they love podcasts. Podcasts are very, very, very popular now with Gen Z. They can create one, or they can record a video to show proof of their learning, to show how they went through their learning journey. What have they learned? What would they do differently next time if they had to retake the course? Maybe give advice to future students taking the same course. Another thing is I'm very big on infographics. I use infographics and I have my students create infographics, and there are like 1 million tools online that can do that. So have them summarize the sum total of what they have learned in a one-page infographic using visuals and links and videos may be embedded. Another big thing, and I do that a lot with my students, is gamification. I'm circling back to that. And they are gamifying what they've learned and quizzing the learning that happened, quizzing their own peers, whether it's something as simple as grammar or content or ideas or conventions of writing. And to tell you the truth, the quizzes that the students create are more challenging than my quizzes. They can really come down hard on their peers and create very interesting quizzes at the end of the semester. Student-led teaching is always a winner, where the students take on the role of the teacher for a class. They can select an article or a video or a website of their choosing related to their major maybe, and lead a class discussion, ask the student questions, present, share videos, and they're responsible for the whole class. And it's really, really a very successful activity. And I find that their eyes light up when it's their turn and they are leading the teaching. And I find them trying to emulate the way I teach and my mannerisms, you know. And the last thing is creating a blog, a persuasive blog or a Facebook page. A lot of them prefer Instagram, but, you know, something related to social media, where they are persuading, similar to the campaign, persuading the public or their peers or other students of a certain initiative that they feel strongly about. Learning by doing. Assessment is an experience. We're almost at the end of our session, and we're going to leave enough time for questions and answers. But first, we're going to ask you to do a couple of things. To conclude, I'm going to show you now a question, okay? And I'm going to give you choices, and I would like you to rank order the following items. It's very simple. All you have to do is add in the chat a number. I'm going to show you the list, the question first, and then the list. Here is the question. The question is, why should we encourage Gen Z to use AI responsibly? Okay, so we're trying to summarize our learning. We're practicing what we preach. Let's see what you gained from this session. Why should we encourage Gen Z to use AI responsibly? And here are the choices. Is it because we want to be ethical and teach them fair use? Is it because we want to encourage critical thinking and avoiding misinformation? Is it because of skill building? Is it because of career readiness? Maybe it's all, and maybe it's other. Why do you think we should encourage Gen Z to use AI responsibly? Please add the number in the chat.
Yeah, if it's other, will you please tell us what the other is?
Yeah, I can see a lot of sixes, huh?
Yeah.
What is the other? Because yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I am one of the Sixers
Yes.
in the chat, and I put that because as I tell my students, there's real danger for our species if we outsource our thinking to anything else other than our brains. And that's why I
love
wrote,
the use of the
earlier,
word outsource. Excellent
yeah,
choice of word.
yeah, augment, not outsource.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yeah. I teach graduate students, so they're going for their masters. So for me, if I were to choose, I would choose career readiness. And we talk about this and what happens in the job market and whatever. So all of the above, Alia. Yeah. Some people are saying ethical and fair use. Yeah. You know what? One student surprised me by saying, she said that AI use is all good and well and everything, but it's not sustainable. If we're talking about sustainability, it's not sustainable. So I found that very interesting.
But at the same time, we cannot ignore it. It's here.
Yeah.
It's been here for quite a long time, and it's booming, and we have to be there.
Our last question. Laila?
Yes, me set 3 and 4. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we want you to write 1 or 2 takeaways from this presentation. that you found useful. I'm going to add a link in the chat. This is a link to a Google slide where there are many cells. Just pick any cell you want and just give us like your feedback, 1 or 2 takeaways from this presentation.
When you're ready, I'll stop sharing, Laila, so that we can see what people are writing in the slide.
Sure.
Okay.
The link is already in the chat, Ronnie. So you can stop sharing.
I can stop sharing. Okay, perfect. You can share now.
Okay. Is it visible, Gina?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you, Alia.
Yes, and thank you, Yasmin. Yes, we agree with you that guidance is very important. We can not just ask our students to use AI without guiding them on how to do that.
Yeah.
Thinking like yes, and we have to rethink the way we do assessment. Exactly.
Yeah. One colleague whom I have great respect for once told me that if it's something they can Google easily, it shouldn't be on a test. So, you know, with the AI now, AI needs to, you know, assessment needs to be re-examined. Thank you, Laila.
Thank you very much, Laila. And thank you, Alia.
Yeah, modeling responsible use of AI. Yeah, that's very important. Very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, collaborate and or debate with aid. Perfect. Yeah, using AI to differentiate instruction, that's for us as teachers. Like we can use it to differentiate instructions and having different versions of a reading maybe or a test.
Okay.
Mm.
Should we
Yeah.
go back to the yeah, we're
So
almost
the
finished.
slide is already there. You have it. Just whenever you feel comfortable adding to the thoughts, would appreciate it. I'm gonna
Thank
stop
you. Yeah.
now.
Yeah. All right, we're almost finished. We just wanted to share with you our references. And we are ready for questions and answers. I think we did good time. We have like 10 minutes for Q&A. I think there were some questions in the chat if
Yeah, some people had concerns, I guess, about learning about culture, if I remember.
okay.
Using AI as a source to discuss culture, right?
Yeah, because of bias. The
Yeah.
problem because of bias. Yes, yes. We have to be I personally have them examine bias in the output of AI. Because we in the Middle East can feel that. For example, I remember when my students were looking for AI generated images for Ramadan, you know, like which is a holy month and fasting and all that. The images that were generated did not have anything to do with the idea of the holy month or whatever. And when we're talking about like Cairo or Amman, Jordan or whatever, we saw images of, you know, very white people with blonde hair and blue eyes running around and not, you know, and clothes that were not very clean and, you know, not well kempt. So the idea of cultural aspects, it's good to examine it, to discuss it, and to bring it to the forefront. You know, when we're talking about politics, for example, especially with what's going on in Gaza, it's a very sensitive issue. So we can't hide the fact that there is bias. on the internet, okay? And it depends on who's telling the story and whatever. So we discuss it in class. We, of course, the students, this is part of the idea of critical thinking and how to encourage students to think, right? And having prompting AI to produce a better image of what they think represents the Ramadan or Amman or Jordan or whatever.
Yeah, and this generation is characterized by critical thinking. It's a very heightened skill, to be honest. And
Yes.
we need to
Yes.
encourage that. Like,
Yes.
doubt everything that you read. You don't have to just take it for granted that this is the correct stuff. Use your brain and tell me what you agree with and what you disagree with, and then have like your revision plans later on.
Yeah, I remember when during the American presidential elections, we were writing an argumentation essay about whether Kamala is going to win the elections or Trump, you know, just argumentation. And they prompted our students prompted AI, and they said, "Who do you think is going to win, Trump or Kamala?" And basically, AI said something like, I am sure that the American people will choose the right person." And the students went haywire. It's like, what are you talking about? How do you know that? What if they don't? But it was the diplomatic answer, you know? Or this is something I cannot predict the future. So it's just having a dialogue with the students would always be useful. Other questions?
Jim, thank you, Nisreen.
I have a question, if I may. I'm not sure how I can't find the raise hand. Thank you very much, Laila and Rania. This is really interesting. I have a question about when I do use AI and I allow the students to use it. This is fine. They do that. Other times with your activities about AI resistant activities, when I do that, I want them to do like a podcast. I want them to critique something that was generated by AI. They also resort to AI. So how can I avoid this in 1020? I don't know if Laila and Noura, if you've used AI in 1020 this last semester, but
yes, I did, but it's like, as we said, sensible use. Like they used it in research writing to find sources, maybe to make connection between one source and another, like grouping sources. Maybe create an outline. We'd use it maybe in refining the research question that they already started with.
Okay, all this you do allow them to use AI.
Yeah, I do allow them to use AI, and I did the pair model. I applied the pair model last semester, like it's
time comes for them
here and AI.
Okay, but the point is, and this is what I keep telling them, there is a very fine line between when you are allowed to use it, and there's a very fine line between when you're not allowed to use it. And this is where the part where we talked about having difficult conversations with the students. And when you use it, I want to see screenshots. What was your prompt? What did AI tell you? How did you use this? Did you cite it, for example? I mean, APA citation of AI is very simple. So, but then are some parts where you're producing the actual product. Then I don't want AI to do that for you. You see, you need to do your own thing. This is where the questioning comes, Yasmin. Even after the assessment, I sit with them and I tell them, tell me how you've done that. And when they claim that they haven't used AI, when they're not, you know, they're lying to me, they haven't used AI. And I'm like, no, you have. This is not your work. So I bring it to their attention. I show them that I don't accept it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you show them that you accept this, and then they have to do the thing themselves.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as Rania said, like they can share the AI history with you. Like they can share the whole history link, like how they prompted AI, what exactly they asked, and the output, and you compare it to what they're giving you at the end. Is it a copy and paste of what the AI tool is giving them? Or they sort of wrestled with the text and critiqued it and maybe agreed or disagreed.
Added their own thoughts, added their own reflection, blah, blah, blah.
Reflection is very important.
Accountability.
AI. Yeah.
Accountability is key. And this is the word I keep using in class. You have to be accountable to it's not, AI is not Google. And even with Google, we do not just copy paste from Google. So basically there has to be a format.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And
Thank you
it
very
really helps, I guess, when we specify, like on the syllabus, exactly how
Yes.
they can use it and to what extent.
Yes,
Mhm.
and I would advise baby steps. So any assignment is chunked and truncated into different tiny steps so that we can monitor.
Yes.
As Laila was saying, you know, they're going to write an outline. Okay. They're going to brainstorm. Fine. They're going to come up with this, that. And each one has its own deliverables and its format. It's a long process. It's a little bit demanding, but it's worth it because we're teaching them and I keep saying that when you graduate and go out there in the job market and your boss says, you know, write this or write that or do this or analyze this or whatever, you're not going to say, oh, excuse me, I'm just going to go see what AI thinks about this. You know, AI is there as a guide. It's not going to do the thinking for you. And this is what the impact is being. I mean, we can see a lot of court cases now and people being fired from their jobs, whether lawyers, analysts, system analysts, because they've used AI when they were not supposed to, or taking data from AI, not verifying it, it's inaccurate, it's fake or made up, and they, you know, submit it as if it's, you know, gospel truth. Yeah.
I did hear that AI can fake sources.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Ken has a question, and Ken has found the raise hand tool.
No, it's not just about publishing something and then your company's upset because you've said you did the work and it was prohibited. It's because you probably put private data from your company into these tools. And these are the conversations we have to have with our students, and especially students that are aware of social justice and the issues that these systems have about their use of this and the consequences. That's why I said the question needed to be changed. If you choose to have your students use Gen AI, you should discuss the ethical and other considerations, not just straight out, you should suggest your students use Gen AI.
I keep telling the students that AI the chat with AI is there for life. It is not going to go away. So when you prompt AI and say something like, I'm telling you from a real story.
Right.
I am going into my economics exam. The class is number blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you the questions. Please give me the answers quickly and humanize them. It is there.
Right. Right. My point is we need to have a discussion about complicity. If we are using these tools, then we are complicitly agreeing in their misuse of our data and other things. I'm an AI resistor. I don't have accounts on these things, similar to Chris Gilliard, who was on this.
I want to respond to your question because that it's very relevant to what we said about AI literacy. This is something we need to teach our students, and that was the first step in the model, if you remember. Like the first step is AI literacy. You have to teach them data security, as you said. You have to teach them about privacy. Like, for example, I usually ask my students, I use only one model, which is Perplexity Pro, for research writing. And I ask them, like, whenever if you're going to put a research question, or if you're going to put maybe an outline or any data you have in your paper onto the tool, you have to make sure that the tool is not keeping the data. This is an option in the tool that you do in the setting.
But it's been proven for many of them that that's not actually happening.
Yeah, actually, 2 days ago, it was in the chat.
New York Times.
Yes, the chat conversations were, I don't know, somehow poured into Google, so you can just Google the chat conversations. Some kind of glitch.
I don't know if we should be trusting these companies. Just my main point and pushback that I'll resist a little bit at requiring our students to use this. So it was really interesting, one of the sessions yesterday with Maria and Heba, how Maria's class was optional, and she actually had some students who said, no, I don't want to use the tool. And that she respected that decision. Whereas the other side is, I'm requiring you to use it. Whereas where my hair goes up on the back of my neck a little bit.
No, I don't require.
Because that's happening in my institution as well.
Here you're allowed to use it. Here you cannot use it under any condition.
Right.
But then you find A or B choosing to use it where they're not supposed to. So it's really just a process. Yes, sir, you have your hand up.
I think we're out of time.
It's just I'm also interested in the idea that since if you, because you're teaching graduate students, then how these graduate students are going to use it in higher order thinking tools.
Yeah.
And I remember in that session with Mariah and Heba, it was also about that when you're writing something for publishing, and then the viewers are also feeding
using
AI
it.
with these papers and with these all these tools, and
Oh,
they
Yes.
aren't really
That's
interested.
problematic.
very problematic,
Yeah.
of course.
And it's not ethical, to be
It's
honest.
not ethical, of course, of
At
course.
all.
Yeah.
And
But
even I have them, one of my exercises, very quickly, I know we have like half a minute left, or we don't have it, is that they use AI to find sources and then go to our AUC library
to find
and
sources,
check
yeah.
and validate. And they often find that some of them don't exist,
Yeah.
or there's
Right.
wrong author. And here is a
Good.
lesson. This is the lesson
Good
that
that
we
there's
learned.
learning that.
Yeah.
So again, all AI use have to go under, again, the academic ethics that we
And
already
you know what?
Yeah.
And you
abide
know what?
by.
If it does exist, it's still a source that is coming
Yeah.
out of Western epistemology that is not really aligned with the values of the speaker and recipient of knowledge. More likely that it will end up being a semantic scholar or a preprint version of an article that is yet to be published. Unfortunately, as Ken said, I have these accounts, but I'm always under the guise of being the critic,
Yeah.
Of
rather
course.
than accepting the use.
Of course.
I still accept that students might use these tools to correct their grammars. I still accept that, if somebody has issues with whatever, punctuation or whatever, I'm not interested to read things that are like one paragraph. I'm not interested to read things that are full of like semicolons while they should have been full stops. But just check the knowledge that you're sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
You-
very
you-
much. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much
for
for
a
coming
wonderful
today.
session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you so
really
much.
appreciate it. Thank you. Hope this was helpful.
Was
Thank you so much.
Thank
very
you.
insightful. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay. Bye-bye.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.